Stay with me until the very end of this chilling story, and don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying tales like this one. The Last Watchman of Black Hollow. I've lived in a lot of small towns. They all have their quirks. The strange old houses, the haunted road, the gossip that grows more elaborate the further you are from the actual truth. But I'd never come across anything quite like Dunford, Pennsylvania, or the legend that wrapped itself around this place like a choking vine. I moved here in late 2021 thinking it would be quiet. I work remotely, and I figured a little isolation might help me focus. The town looked harmless enough. Brick storefronts, a diner that still sold coffee for $1, and a population of barely 2,000. But from my first week, I noticed something. People didn't like to talk about the Hollow. They'd lower their voices if it came up. Sometimes they wouldn't even say its full name. They'd just glance toward the tree line beyond Route 211, where a narrow, overgrown road branched off and disappeared into the woods. That was Black Hollow Road, and a mile down that road were the ruins of the Black Hollow Depot, once a railway station serving the freight lines that cut through these hills. It shut down in the 1950s when the rail companies pulled out. The building sat abandoned for over a decade, until the fire. Part 1. The Fire and the Watchman. It happened in 1967, though ask 3 different people and you'll get 3 different months. The fire started in the dead of night. The depot burned so hot that the roof collapsed before anyone could try to save it. But the part people remember isn't the building, it's the man who was inside. Elias Blackwood. He was the night watchman, hired in the late 40s. No wife, no kids, no real friends, lived in a shack near the tracks, worked 7 nights a week. By all accounts, he barely spoke to anyone. And yet, the stories say he took his job far too seriously. There were whispers, always whispers, that he wasn't guarding the place from vandals or drifters. No, Elias, they said, was keeping something in. Some claimed it was an old freight car in the depot's back room. Others swore it was a shipment that arrived in the 30s and was never logged. Nobody could agree on what it was, but everyone agreed on this. Elias never let anyone near that freight room. When the fire consumed the depot, his body was never found, not even bones. The county chalked it up to complete incineration. But people in Dunford have longer memories. They say Elias didn't die in that fire. They say he's still out there, walking the hollow at night, lantern in hand. Part 2. Murphy's Tavern. I first heard the story at Murphy's Tavern, the kind of place where everyone knows your business before you've even ordered a drink. It was late, and the air smelled of stale beer and fried food. A group of regulars were swapping ghost stories. One man, a thick-shouldered mechanic named Dale, leaned toward me and said, "Ever walk the hollow, stranger?" I told him I hadn't. "You should. See if the watchman likes you." Another man chimed in, "If he talks to you, you're done. 3 nights later, you're gone." I laughed. "Gone how?" Dale didn't smile. "Like you were never here." They rattled off names: Robert Tully, Janice Cray, a college kid from last summer, people who had supposedly seen the watchman and vanished without a trace. "You won't find their names in the paper," Dale added. "Sheriff's office doesn't put that in print. But ask around." It was the beer and the bravado that made me agree to their dare. Walk down Black Hollow Road alone after midnight. Part 3. First Walk. The road was a tunnel of trees, the moonlight barely filtering through. My flashlight beam caught glimmers of dew on the weeds pushing through cracked asphalt. Half a mile in, I felt it, that subtle pressure, like the air itself was leaning in. The night sounds quieted, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. That's when I saw it, a faint orange glow ahead, swaying gently. My first thought, some idiot from the bar came to spook me, but as I got closer, the figure holding the lantern came into focus. He was tall and thin, dressed in an old railway uniform, cap and all. His skin was pale, almost waxy, and his eyes caught the light like an animal's. He stood perfectly still. When I was close enough to hear him breathe, if he breathed, he spoke. "Turn back." The voice was dry and brittle, like dead leaves crushed underfoot. Then the lantern went out. I swung my flashlight up. Nothing, just the empty road. Part 4. The first night. I told myself it was a trick. Somebody from the tavern had gotten ahead of me, maybe slipped into the woods. But when I got home, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd heard something else in his voice. Something underneath the words. At 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of footsteps on my porch. Slow, deliberate. I grabbed my flashlight and yanked the curtain aside. The porch was empty, but the light above the door flickered, and for a second, just a second, I saw the orange glow of a lantern moving down the street. Part 5. The second night. The next day, my phone started buzzing with texts from an unknown number. Each one was a photo, grainy black and white, showing the tracks near the depot. In every picture, a figure stood in the distance, holding a lantern. That night, the footsteps came again. This time they circled the building. I didn't look. My heart was already hammering just from the sound. Part 6. Digging into the past. By day 3, I couldn't focus on anything else. I went to the town library, digging through old newspaper archives. The fire was reported, yes, but the write-up was short. No mention of suspicious circumstances. No obituaries for Elias Blackwood. I found something stranger. A 1938 clipping about an unidentified cargo that arrived by freight from Pittsburgh. The boxcar was sealed under orders from the company, with instructions that it remain untouched until retrieved. No record of retrieval exists. Part 7. The sheriff. I went to Sheriff Henderson, thinking maybe he'd laugh it off. He didn't. He just said, gravelly voice, "If you walked that road and saw him, you need to leave, urgent, tonight." When I pressed, he shut the conversation down. But as I turned to go, he muttered, "He only talks to the ones he needs." Part 8. The final night. I meant to leave. I packed a bag, loaded the car, but the engine wouldn't turn over. Every time I twisted the key, the radio crackled to life, static, then a low whisper. Freight room. Freight room. I don't remember deciding to walk, but I was back on Black Hollow Road, the night air biting my skin. The lantern glowed ahead. I followed. The depot ruins loomed out of the dark, charred beams, moss-covered stone. Elias stood at the doorway, the wire stitching his lips shut, glinting in the light. Yet the whisper I'd heard in my car came from him, louder now. He pointed to a warped iron door, the freight room. Part 9. The reveal. The door pulsed, metal breathing in and out. The wires snapped from Elias's mouth. His jaw unhinged far beyond human limits, and black smoke poured out, curling into the seams of the iron. The door opened just an inch, and that was enough. A gray clawed hand shot out, seizing Elias and yanking him inside. The voices, dozens of them, screamed in unison. The door slammed shut. I ran until I saw the lights of town. Epilogue. It's been 6 months. I've tried to leave Dunford, but something always stops me. and at night from my window, I can see the faint glow of a lantern swaying in the dark, closer every time.
Thanks for watching to the end. We've got plenty more exciting videos coming your way, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out.